Alright, first and foremost, all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushai, Bahasham Rakakodash. Double honors to our apostles and elders of James Great Millstone who teach and rule well, and continue to teach and rule well through the Spirit and the power of Yahweh Bahasham Yahushai. And again, double honors to our apostles and elders of James Great Millstone who teach and rule well, and continue to teach and rule well through the Spirit and the power of Yahweh Bahasham Yahushai. Peace, love, and salutations to the Akim in the four corners of this earth, pushing this word with all truth and sincerity. To the speckled bird Akim and Akwat out there who are tuned in, listening and learning with hopes of being delivered by Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, from the perilous times that are ahead. To you I say Shalom. Perilous times going into 2 Timothy chapter 3 and 1. The true name of the Heavenly Father, that's Yahweh. The true name of His only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai. So-called niggers, Latinas, and Native Americans are the true biblical Israelites according to the scriptures. And these are the names upon which we can call upon in order to be delivered from under the hand of our enemies, especially in these times where they are, giving life to the image of the beast, right? As you can see in the title, the fourth industrial revolution, I have created narratives for global acceptance. And this title, it's taken from the book that I was looking into here, written by Klaus Schwab, which is the founder, right? And I think it's the chairman of the World Economic Forum, right? Which what the World Economic Forum claims, and I'll use claim, what they claim, their business is about global um global innovation and global aid, and developing, societies or economies globally. They come, the wealthiest, the world's set of wealthiest men, come together and discuss how they can make the world a better place for, people in general, especially those who are, you know, living in abject poverty, those who don't have um, those who don't have resources, those who don't have means of gathering resources, so on and so forth. Right now, in this book, The Fourth Industrial Revolution, I was reading and I got to this point. I won't go too deep into the book itself because I haven't finished it for one, and I haven't matched up a lot of points with, events that are happening globally just yet. You know, However, right here, I'm just going to read this excerpt right here. I'm going to bring out a few precepts because as scripture says right here in the 2 Corinthians chapter 2 verse 11, lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. Satan being, our adversary. This goes back to adversary, which Esau, Edom, and all these other nations, but chiefly Esau, Edom, pertaining to Psalms 83. They are our enemy. They are our adversary. You know, and the devices that they're bringing into this world. One such device is the RFID CHIP, which is the mark to be spoken of in Revelation chapter 13 and 16. We are not ignorant of what that device is, nor are we ignorant of what, the fourth industrial revolution will be ushering in. Because ever so often now we're Klaus Schwab, and not only Klaus Schwab, but even media outlets, they're talking about the fourth industrial revolution or Industry 4.0, right? Now, this book was written in 2016. So, from then to now, we know that a whole lot of the agendas, a whole lot of the objectives laid out in this book, you know, has been met to a certain extent, right? And now, so more than ever, they are being played out upon the earth, as Revelation chapter 12 and 12 would have it, that they're going to come down upon us having great wrath because they know that they had but a short time. So they're trying to accomplish their agenda before their time runs out. which that agenda is to have the entire Earth's population in subjugation to them via that RFID CHIP, right? And that's for those who, they are willing to let survive, because according to the Georgia Guidestone, they want to reduce the Earth's population to 500 million. Right now, the Earth's population is going over into the 8 billion. So, a whole lot of people, they are, you know, forecasting a future upon which a whole lot of persons, will die, right? So let me just read this, and then I'll get into the scriptures again. Obadiah chapter 1 and 6. It says, how are the things of Esau searched out? How are his hidden things sought up? You know. So it says, this is from the fourth industrial revolution. It says, I am convinced that the fourth industrial revolution will be every bit as powerful, impactful, and historically important as the previous three. Right, and he's talking about the previous three, industrial revolution. He says, however, I have two primary concerns about factors that may limit the potential of the fourth industrial revolution, right, to be effectively and cohesively realized. So they want the fourth industrial revolution to be effectively, and cohesively, accepted worldwide. You know, it said, first, I feel that the required levels of leadership and understanding of the changes underway across all sectors are low when contrasted with the need to rethink our economic, social, and political systems to respond to the fourth industrial revolution. And that's why they have this thing where they call it the leaders of tomorrow, where what they do is they groom world leaders. For one, Justin Trudeau, the president of Canada, right? I think they have presidents or prime ministers, but the president of Canada, right? He was brought up under the tutelage of the World Economic Forum, you know, and other world leaders as well. Surprisingly, even Vladimir Putin was brought up under, the tutelage of the World Economic Forum. So one of his concern is that world leaders, you know, levels of leadership required, you know, levels of leadership and understanding, are not up to par to, rethink our economic, social, and political systems to respond to the fourth industrial revolution, right? And this was written in 2016. So think about it from then to now. We know that a whole lot of world leaders have been, swapped out. A whole lot of world leaders have been elected, and most, if not all, are all, puppet. They're all the front man, right? They aren't the ones that are making the mandates. They aren't the ones that are, you know, amending legislation. They aren't the ones that are pushing for a different economic reforms. One example is out here in Jamaica. We know that our leader you know, pushes immensely this digital society, right, and other members of his cabinet along with him, right, like the minister that's now in the office of the prime minister, Floyd Green. He's all about NIDS. He's all about the the the, the digital framework that Jamaica needs to get under, right? So they do have leaders now who they have trained, right, to understand, right, and rethink our economic, social, and political systems to respond to this fourth industrial revolution. Because just listen to our prime minister talk, listen to not only our prime minister, but global leaders. They're all, you know, their speech is always, not always, but almost always about, digital societies, right, digital revolution. So they are their mindset right now is focused on, right, the fourth industrial revolution, what it will bring and how their economy is going to respond to it, which again is all, it was all by design by the global elite, right? It says, as a result, both at the national and global levels, the requisite institutional framework to govern and to govern the fusion of innovation and mitigate the disruption is inadequate at best, and this is in 2016, and at worst absent together, right? So they're saying that we don't have, on global levels, we don't have leaders who understand, the political system, social economic system, right? Who don't understand it to a point, or enough, who don't understand it enough to respond to the fourth industrial revolution, you know. And now the framework, right? Let me read this again. As a result of not having enough global leaders who understand the economic, social, and political systems to respond to the fourth industrial revolution, right? The national and global levels, right? The requisite institutional framework to govern the diffusion of innovation, right? Because with the fourth industrial revolution, when you read up a bit, you'll hear how Klaus Schwab, and if when you read down a little as well, he talks about, you know, how the fourth industrial revolution will be innovative to young minds, and how, the whole lot of different inventions and, ideas that will be brought about with new technology, and, the IoT, the IOB, and so on and so forth. So he's saying that because we don't have enough global leaders who understand this enough, their their fear is that, the diffusion of innovation, and um, it may cause a diffusion of innovation, sorry, right? Which diffusion goes into lessening something, or you spread dispersing something, right? Diffusion is defined as the movement of individual molecules of a substance through a semi-permeable barrier from one area of higher concentration to an area of low concentration. So, you know, third world countries that, because just up in this paragraph, he speaks of how a lot of the world, 17% of the world, still lack access to electricity. So not all of the world is up to par yet with the third industrial revolution, much less the fourth industrial revolution, right? So they want to educate leaders in these different areas, these different countries, third world countries, about, these systems, about the fourth industrial revolution, so that the diffusion of innovation, AI, can be brought about from a place of high concentration, which is, the European Union, Europe, America, China, to a place of low concentration, third world countries. And you're mainly looking at places like Africa, countries in Africa. It says, and mitigate the disruption is inadequate at best, at worst absent altogether, right? So they're saying the level of education of these leaders, it's inadequate at best, and it's worst, it's at its worst, it's absent altogether, right? So second, right, the world lacks a consistent, positive, and common narrative, you know, that outlines that outlines the opportunities and challenges of the fourth industrial revolution, a narrative that is essential if we are to empower a diverse set of individuals and communities and avoid a popular backlash against fundamental changes underway. So the first is that, they don't have enough leaders who they have control over, to just, put it in layman terms. Second is that they don't have a proper common narrative, a global narrative. You know, an example, would be when Yahushua returns, right? There will be, World War for one countries, nations fighting against each other. But when Yahushua returns, they're all gonna come together to fight against Yahushua. They found a common narrative to work together. So what he's saying is that the world doesn't have a common narrative to accept, the opportunities the fourth industrial revolution will bring. And without a common narrative, a global narrative, they are going to face popular backlash against the fundamental changes underway. And when you look into fundamental, it's going back to like the roots, the root changes on the way. So forming a necessary base or core of central importance. So they're planning on making fundamental changes. They're making core changes, changes to, systems that are important, right? Financial, health. So they need common narratives. Oh, and we are seeing where a lot of common narratives are being brought to light. For one, you know, cyber issues, financial issues, climate change, right? These are all narratives, common narratives that are being put out there to say, look, the system needs to change. Debt right now, debt is a major talk right now, especially with America reaching its debt limit last week, Thursday, right? Hitting their debt limit. They haven't raised it yet, and they only have enough resources to last them up until June. Afterwards, they're looking at a massive recession, you know. So the financial system is being tackled right now. It's being tried, pen tested really. Out here in Jamaica, we have we have had a slew of fraud cases within the banking sector. So narratives are being put out there. I can't list a whole barrage of them off the top right now, but I'm sure if you research, as we are watchmen, you will find narratives that are being put out there so that changes can be made. Never let a good crisis go away. Or order of chaos, order out of chaos, problem, reaction, solution. You know, Revelation 13 and 15. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, and the image of the beast is the system that they are creating. Beast being made to the EU, which is governed by that whore that rides upon the beast, which is America, which is all governed by Esau Edom, the international banking elite, right? The international banking families, right? The Rockefellers, Rothschilds, DuPonts, Gettys, you name them, right? The Klaus Schwab. It says, and he had power, Esau Edom ultimately, right, to give life unto the image of the beast, the system that they're setting up, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause as many as will not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And you worship the image of the beast by accepting the system, trying to make life in the system, trying to uphold the system that they're creating, And if you and when you look into worship, it goes back to the Greek word proskuneo, which goes into, like one like a dog licking his master's hand, and it goes back to the Orientals, basically bowing down, giving reverence and obeisance to a king or a god, and that's what you will be doing by worshiping the image, the system, the changes that they are bringing, the reset that they are bringing out. 16, and he calls it all both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. And that's the charagma, right? The RFID CHI, which that goes into charagma, which is that imprinted mark, that stamp. Like when you get brand, you have a stamp, you have a mark that shows that you have been branded, what master you belong to. And then charagma goes to charax, which goes into a pale or palisade, which speaks to the syringe that is used to pierce the skin, to cut the skin. And as Leviticus 19, and I think it's 28, says you shouldn't make any cuttings in your flesh. So that's going against the law right there. And then it goes back to the Greek, the root word grapho, you know, which goes into writing basically, which is the device itself, which will contain all your information. Or in your foreheads, neuroimplants. BlackRock has their Neurotech. We have Neuralink, we have Synchron, and we have many other companies out there who these elites are now investing billions upon millions, well, millions upon millions of dollars, if not billions at this point, to develop. We know who BlackRock is, and BlackRock have their Neurotech, right? And the device that's in the forehead, these are the devices that will be used to perform miracles spoken of in verse 14 right here, right? It says, and deceive them that dwell upon the earth by means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, you know, enabling you to talk if you can't talk, to move things with your mind, right? To walk, amputate an arm or a leg, and put on a prosthetic one that you can move with your mind, you know. These are things that Yahushua did just more on a more perfected level when he was on the scene, right? Putting back a whole arm, right? Removing demons from you, right? Letting the blind to see, the dumb to speak. So these are things that Yahushua did. These were the miracles, and now Esau wants to do them with these devices, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name, right? And the apostle was going into buying and selling. So let me see if I can just get into it. All right, so buying a grazio, right? A grazio, right? It says to be in the marketplace, to attend it, to do business there. So you won't be able to do business. You won't be able to attend the marketplace, buy or sell of either people to hunt the marketplace, lounge there, right? Going to the word man. Okay. All right. Some or any person or object, right? So, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark, that device, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. It says, here's wisdom, let him that had understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 603 score and six. And that's the, Chi stigma, the 666, the system, the perfection of the system, that they are wanting to bring about, right? So without worshiping the beast, the system, the image that is, without accepting the system and accepting that device in your hand or wherever or in your forehead, you won't be able to be a functioning member of their system, of their society. So again, it's all coming from this book, The Fourth Industrial Revolution. Lord's willing, this was edifying. Lord's willing, I'll be able to, go more into it in the future and bring out some points, for the edification of the body of Yahushua. So I'm going to leave it there, giving all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Rakakodash. Again, double honors to our apostles and elders of GMS Great Millstone. Peace, love, and salutations to the elect of Israel. Shalom.